So, hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Steven. How's it going?
Doing very well.
Good. Hey, Bill. We're just going to give people a few minutes. I know there was about 35 people, I think, that registered. So we're just going to wait a little bit, make sure people hop on.
Can everyone see Sarah's nice background? She just got back from vacation this morning and hopped on this training.
I was literally here less than 24 hours ago. So sorry for you all to see the photo, but I need it for my sanity, or otherwise, yeah, might not be a pleasant training. Hopefully the sun will follow us back at some point. All right, I think we are close enough to full, and people can just catch up as they hop on. And obviously these are recorded. So if anyone misses the beginning, they can watch the recording. So welcome everyone to our first training, LDD Partnership Program training for 2026. You'll mostly hear from Marina today about the Timber for Transit and Forest Economy programs. I'm sure you guys are aware of those programs, but as you know, we are for the first time requiring those programs to utilize an LDD for grant administration. And so we wanted to just make sure you were up to date in all the information of the programs, as well as a little bit more of a deeper dive on what to expect, and maybe some tips and tricks from the program manager on how to assist these projects. Next slide. Here is our agenda for today. I will be going over some LDD partnership program updates. We have Adrienne on the call, and she'll go over some pre-application statistics because we just wrapped up our review of those. And then Marina will just jump right in and go over a majority of this agenda with you. And last but not least, we'll touch on some grant management system things. I put together a resource for you all, and I sent it out in our last email, and would love to get your feedback on that if there's anything I can do to improve that. And then, of course, we have Casey on the call, who will be going over some reminders when it comes to reviewing applications in the GMS, because that will be coming right up. You can go ahead. Okay, just wanted to go over, sort of high level reminder of our program goals, the LDD Partnership Program goals. Really, our goal is for the grantees to learn from you all over the course of the performance period of their award and to develop a strong relationship with you all. We do see a lot of grantees that already have established relationships with their LDDs, but if not yet, the hope is that through partnering on grant administration, you can build that relationship with the grantee, and then carry that relationship forward after the award has closed out. As you guys know, we're providing ongoing training and resources to support you all, and to support your role in helping the LDDs learn, helping the grantees learn throughout the course of their award. And, we'll also continue to provide additional resources when the new tools are implemented. And if you haven't seen, I have opened up through Microsoft Booking times to meet with me. A bunch of you have already utilized this, so thank you so much. I think it's been super successful. Essentially, they're standard times every week, and you can book a time with me, either just one-on-one, you and me, or you, me, and one of your grantees if there's an issue or hurdle you guys are experiencing in the grant management system. I've found that walking through it with both the grantee and LDD, if the grantee needs to share their screen, and I can kind of tell them where to click, and then the LDD can share their screen. I've found it to be efficient and a good learning experience. So please utilize that. The link will be here, and then also it's always in the bottom of my signature, email signature. Next slide, please. This first reminder, I already brought up, but beginning in this cycle year, 2026, we're going to require all of our competitive programs, that's Catalyst, Forest Economy, Timber for Transit, to utilize LDDs for grant administration. And, obviously, while the content of projects under the two additional programs are different, the administration is essentially the same as Catalyst. I wanted to remind you of the survey that was sent out in January around assessing your grantee's capacity, due tomorrow. The link is here in this PowerPoint, and I'm happy to send it directly to anyone that hasn't filled it out yet. And last but not least, as we do every cycle, a list of pre-applications, including project name, location, and project contact, will be shared with you all by the end of March. I've heard feedback from some of you that this has been really helpful in connecting with those projects early. So please review that list and connect with those projects in your service area. And talk about, the services that you can provide if they are awarded funds, or if they might need additional assistance, outside of the MBRC bubble. And just as a reminder, because I have heard oh, we never got that list, or I haven't seen that. What I essentially do is I send the list to the main contact that's listed in our LDD contact information spreadsheet, which is listed on our website. Usually it's the executive director. And I do ask that when I send that out, I say in the email to share with the staff that are working on MBRC projects. But if you happen to not receive it, please check in with your executive director, because they should be getting it. And I just, I do that instead of sending it out through, the entire constant contact list, because there are some people on that list that are no longer LDDs, or, so I'm just trying to keep it as closed circle as possible, because we don't need them, sort of out there in the world. It's for you guys to really help connect with those projects early. So keep an eye out for those late March. Next slide. All right, just a reminder of our next training, May 19th. We will be going over NEPA and BABA. As you might have heard, we hired a NEPA advisor. And so you guys will get sort of individual specific attention from him on our improved processes, as well as tips and tricks to help educate your grantees. And then, so that'll be the first hour. And then the second hour of that training is sort of a new to MBRC staff training. I do recognize that there are, staff that come on in the middle of a year, or, are new, maybe not new to your organization, but new to administering MBRC projects. And so we want to provide a specific spot for them where they can come and sort of learn some of the basics about MBRC, get some time directly with me, or maybe some of our other staff if needed, but really want to help train up those people that have recently been added to administering MBRC awards. So if you've been doing it a long time, you're also welcome to stay on. You might learn something new, or might be a nice refresher, but that second hour will definitely be for people who have started to administer or will start in the last 6 months or so. And that's May 19th, 9 to 11. All right, next.
All right, thanks, Sarah. I think I've met some of you, but if we haven't met, my name is Marina, and I serve as the program manager for the Forest Economy and Timber for Transit programs. Let me check if Adrian is still on. Adrian, do you want to share the Catalyst stats, and then I can jump in with the rest?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Adrian Harrison. I serve as the Catalyst Program Manager at MBRC. And you can see we've had a busy spring pre-application session. We received 152 pre-applications, a total amount requested from MBRC of over $110 million. This is more than 3.5 times, I think, what we have available to award. So it's highly oversubscribed. And you can see that breakdown of pre-applications from across the different states in our region. But it's exciting, and there's some really great projects in there.
Thanks, Adrian. You'll see that Timber for Transit and the Forest Economy programs are also oversubscribed, but they're much smaller in the volume of applications and proposals that we receive. So for the Timber for Transit program, we have about $14 million available this year. And that's not divided between spring and fall rounds, but just one lump sum, not divided by spring and fall rounds, and also not divided by states. And so I'll get into that a little later on how we handle scoring for Timber for Transit and the Forest Economy program. For Forest Economy, we have about $4 million available this year. And so again, you'll see both are oversubscribed, and we have a good distribution amongst the 4 states. I just wanted to give a quick reminder about the agenda. These pre-application stats are just a helpful sense of where we're at with pre-applications. Right now, NBRC has finished our eligibility review internally, and all of that information is with the states at this point. We will be meeting with states next week to walk through projects and talk about which projects will be invited to submit applications. And then NBRC plans to send responses to pre-applications starting the week of March 30th. So last week of March, first week of April. I will walk through, again, like Sarah said, the Catalyst, Timber for Transit, and Forest Economy programs are all the projects are administered the same, but there are some differences between these competitive programs that I think will be helpful for background as you maybe are tagged on reviewing applications and then later on serving as the LDD for those projects. I'll talk through some of the differences in state priorities for these programs, our advisory board that serves these programs, and then I'll have some bullet points of what to focus on if you review an application from one of these programs. And then again, we'll hand it over to Casey to talk through some GMS pieces. All right, so NBRC's 3 competitive programs. You're likely familiar with these. It's a nice header slide to advance us into the forest economy program. So this program debuted in 2019, and the funding comes as a result of states' interest in assisting communities in our region impacted by specifically the decline in pulp and paper manufacturing that had cascading impacts across the forest economy supply chain. The award maximum for this program is $1 million. So again, we have $4 million available this year, and we already had in the spring round more than $6 million requested. So unlike the Catalyst program, where program evaluation or investment priorities align exactly with the NBRC agency priorities, the Forest Economy Program and Timber for Transit programs both follow those umbrella agency investment priorities. And because they're sort of niche programs, they also have unique program investment priorities. So they're listed here. I won't read through each, but you know, we strive to invest in projects that meet at least one of these priorities. And for the Forest Economy Program and Timber for Transit, we're not looking for basic research projects. So any research projects that come to us must have a tie to businesses and commercial uses. So more the development and commercialization side of research as opposed to basic research. We also expect Forest Economy Program applicants to align their work with the priorities within their respective states. So each NBRC state has a plan especially catered to state forests and the forest economy. These plans are linked on the website and in program materials. So that's one of the differences when you look at like the Catalyst program and connections to state economic development priorities. These priorities are a little more specific and catered to the forest economy. Okay, so again, you're all familiar with the Catalyst program. It has the infrastructure or implementation and non-infrastructure feasibility categories. The Forest Economy Program has 5 program categories, which includes 1 infrastructure category. I'll give some examples of projects that fit within each of these categories in the next few slides. But under the Forest Economy Program, we're really looking for projects that address one of these listed categories. Some address more than one, which is great, but at least one. And then any project that is that marketing, communication, or education work has to be paired with one of the other categories. So a few kind of general examples of what types of projects might fit in each of these categories. For community development, a project involving construction or renovation of a community gathering space. It could be a public building, a town hall, a public library, or museum using mass timber. Things like wood fiber insulation or advanced wood heat are great projects for the Forest Economy Program. Essentially, you know, one of those investment priorities was to have our investments contribute to demand for forest products in our region. The second is workforce development. So an example is an initiative with connections to local businesses, which address statewide forest economy workforce needs, including careers in logging, forestry, and related fields. A workforce development project is always more compelling when there are direct connections and links to industry and support from businesses. So oftentimes when we see workforce development projects, we're looking for letters of support from businesses. We're looking for in their narrative to see that they've connected with businesses. And, you know, it's not just a workforce development project for the sake of it, but rather they know what businesses in these industries need and are pairing the skills and workforce training with those needs. For business planning and TA, we have funded accelerator type projects, technical assistance programs designed to support forest product companies. So those from emerging entrepreneurs to long established firms in achieving their growth goals. Projects that provide tailored guidance to help businesses scale operations or improve efficiencies or strengthen competitiveness are great. And then we have a lot of forest businesses in our region that are, the folks that own them are aging out or planning to retire or really want to retire. So there's also a need for that long-term succession and sustainability of these businesses. For public infrastructure, what makes this one different from Catalyst is that infrastructure projects under the Forest Economy Program need to directly support the forest economy. One project that we funded was redevelopment of a shuttered paper mill site into a multi-industrial complex that's prepared for new businesses, including forest product companies. I have more example projects, and I'm happy to share more if you all have questions to come back to. This marketing, communication, and education category, again, must be paired with one of the other categories. It can include marketing to promote environmental and climate benefits of forest management and forest products in ways that strengthen the markets for those products. All right, I'll move into the Timber for Transit program. So this program is much newer. We first rolled out this program in 2024. Funding for this program comes as a transfer through the Federal Highway Administration. And the program is specifically designed to advance the use of domestic forest products in transportation infrastructure projects across Maine, New York, New Hampshire, and Vermont, to showcase the capabilities of wood in these applications. So keywords here are wood in these applications and showcasing, and we'll get into a little more of that in the next few slides. So like the Forest Economy Program, Timber for Transit has unique program evaluation priorities. A couple of underlying goals for this program are to show the demand for mass timber in our region. So in the Pacific Northwest and the South, there are lots of, large timber buildings being built. And, we have this heritage forest economy in our region, and we want to be able to show that we too want to use wood products in infrastructure, both to support our forest economy and, to create demand for products within our region. Showing demand for mass timber could also attract mass timber manufacturing in our region, which we don't currently have. So that's another kind of underlying goal. At the same time, we want to increase familiarity at a professional and layman's level of the benefits of mass timber and infrastructure, specifically in the case here of transportation infrastructure. So we're looking to invest in projects that commit to utilizing domestically sourced timber, that demonstrate evidence for planning for extreme weather readiness, that utilize projects as a tool for university and industry education and training. So if you're reviewing applications, you'll see a lot of like timber bridge projects and such, where they might incorporate, hey, there's this university close by and we're going to have a class come and, see how this is built. Or, one of our engineers is going to go to this university to share about this project. Those pieces are it's likely that I might have coached that project to include that piece in their project. It aligns with this investment priority that we have in this program. Projects should, if possible, include promotion and publication and marketing as part of their deliverables, and support, benefit, or engage communities that are impacted by specific socioeconomic indicators. So that one's well aligned with our agency priorities as well. Because the purpose of this program is to showcase wood materials in these applications, it does help for projects to have high visibility within their community, county, or region.
Marina, you have a question from Erica about would a bus shelter work for a T4T?
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the comments here. Bus shelters, I might have to get back to you on, Erica. We had a public works garage apply for timber for transit, which was deemed ineligible. Public works projects generally are not considered by NBRC. So the bus shelters might be in that kind of realm too. So I'll get some more clarity on that. Great. So for the Timber for Transit program, the two categories are feasibility and implementation. So very much in line with how Catalyst is set up. Feasibility under this program, though, is eligible for up to $1 million, and implementation is eligible for up to $5 million. Feasibility projects are those early stage activities, planning, inventory assessments, engineering, design, cost benefit analyses, permitting, all of that pre-work that's necessary to really come back for an implementation project. So the goal of having feasibility in the Timber for Transit program, this category, is so that, NBRC is investing in the pre-work, and we hope to see those implementation projects come back for funding. The implementation work, for feasibility, these can include state or regional inventory assessments of the suitability of wood components for necessary transportation infrastructure improvements. It can include architectural and engineering designs and those analyses and permitting for the implementation work. Implementation work is the construction, so assets and facilities that align with the Timber for Transit program priorities will be classified as implementation. Those projects are eligible for up to $1 million, but they have to meet some additional higher maximum requirements, similar to how projects that request more than $1 million under Catalyst have to meet higher maximum requirements. Okay, so the state goals and priorities that we look for Timber for Transit projects can vary. So the Timber for Transit program can support transportation infrastructure, being the bridges and highway rest areas and airports type projects. It can also support what we call transportation adjacent work, which can include the outdoor recreation projects. So maybe it's a pedestrian bridge or a set of trail bridges or culverts. And the state goals and priorities that align with projects will vary. So the transportation infrastructure projects, the bridges and rest areas and kind of direct alignment with transportation, those projects should usually align themselves with the state Department of Transportation priorities and plans. whereas projects that are more outdoor recreation focused should connect to the state comprehensive outdoor recreation plans. So each of those are linked here. I will say that right now our program materials focus on the DOT plans, but it's my intention to add in the SCORP links, both to our website and our program materials, just to differentiate. I think a lot of projects are already doing that. Those outdoor rec related projects are already well linked in with SCORP plans. And you'll see if you're reviewing a proposal like that, that likely they've already connected with SCORP. But if you're reviewing a proposal that's really outdoor rec focused, they're talking about trail bridges and they're trying to link with state DOT plans. And if it's just not really adding up for you, probably the best course for that project is to look at the state comprehensive outdoor rec plans. Okay, so a few examples of projects under Timber for Transit. From left to right here, we've got the Vermont Agency of Transportation was awarded in fall of last year, $375,000 to do a feasibility study for a new welcome center near the Canadian border in Highgate, Vermont. So that project will evaluate the use of advanced wood products in the building, including renewable heat, wood fiber insulation, things like this, and including mass timber as well. In the middle here, we have the town of Sand Lake. They are working on the Johnny Cake Lane Bridge to make it more climate resilient. And of course, that will include wood products, specifically glue laminated timber in the design and construction. On the right, we have the town of Island Falls. This one was awarded a higher maximum award, a little over 2.8 million, to support the creation of an island bridge and connecting the downtown of Town of Island Falls with the community park there via bridge. It's a pedestrian glue laminated timber bridge. And one of the highlights of this project is that they are using spruce, fir, and hemlock sourced from their town's town forest to use in the bridge construction. So that was a really nice local feedstock piece. We have 12 investments under the Timber for Transit program, and you can see all of those and the link on the bottom of this slide or on the state program pages of the NBRC website to get a better depth of understanding of the investments we've made so far. So both of these programs are served by an advisory board. So we have support from an advisory board of individuals who lend their expertise to NBRC and our state partners as we make investment decisions. Their responsibilities include helping to promote and market these programs in the early stages and assist in project development where possible. And then really their primary purpose is to evaluate pre-applications and applications and to provide feedback to NBRC and member states. Their feedback at pre-application is incorporated into NBRC's responses to proposals. Really, their primary role is a resource to NBRC and our state partners, as opposed to a resource for applicants. The board is made up of 7 members. 1 member represents the NBRC, 2 members provide a national expertise, and 4 members provide state level expertise and are chosen by our NBRC member states. Okay, at the start of this presentation, I mentioned that Forest Economy Program and the Timber for Transit Program funding is not divided by state. So it's one set of funding, and when pre-applications come in, all of our states review the pre-applications regardless of where that state is located. The same goes for application. Also for these programs, there's only one set of scoring criteria. So I know that's a little bit different from Catalyst program where applicants are kind of aligning with both NBRC scoring criteria and their state's scoring criteria. So those nuances are important to be aware of. Again, the advisory board feedback comes into play both at the pre-application and application stages. But the feedback itself, of course, is only relayed between pre-application and application to the applicants themselves. Once we get that advisory board feedback, we have discussion between NBRC and our states, and we have the opportunity to ask those advisory board members questions about the feedback they provided. And then the states are really the ones, and NBRC, making decisions on either which projects move forward or which projects are selected. But of course, we rely heavily on these folks' expertise. They spend a lot of time reviewing proposals, and they have a really good sense of what is needed in the forest economy.
Marina, we have a really good question from Victoria. She's asking, could the value of timber be used for project elements from partners town forests be counted as in-kind match for T4T?
So in-kind match, I believe, is reserved for volunteer work only. We have had the value of materials, yes, can count as match. So if a business is donating, a volume of mass timber to a project, that's great. How much is the mass timber worth? It would be put towards the match for the project, but I guess wouldn't technically be in kind. I'm trying to pull up, there's the Q&A. Okay, great. So lastly, this is my last slide and then I'll pause for questions, but where to focus during FEP and Timber for Transit application review. So you saw at the beginning, there are, 15 and 6, about 21 applications, pre-applications submitted to Forest Economy and Timber for Transit. So fewer will be likely invited to apply. So it's possible that as an LDD, you won't see any applications that request your feedback. But if you do, here are some kind of guiding checklist items to look for. NBRC will be providing responses to pre-applications, again, starting the week of March 30th, at which point projects will be able to start on developing their applications and requesting LDD review. So should you get a request to review one such application, here are some items. The first is confirm the applicant has addressed the feedback provided by NBRC. Again, that feedback includes state and advisory board feedback. One really important part of these proposals is, especially for Timber for Transit, we're looking in the narrative and in the scope of work, like what are the wood products? How's the project being showcased? Sometimes at pre-application and even at application, it's really difficult to tell how the project is using wood products or what wood products are being used. It seems obvious, but I think sometimes people talk about the whole of a project, and we want to know, like, are you asking for $4 million and only planning to spend $500,000 on wood products? That's not really the intent of this program. So having that detail of the volume and cost of wood products and what those wood products are as a part of the application is really important. So that piece, that second bullet, I would say is maybe the most important of these. The budget and timeline should account for NEPA where applicable. That's in line with the Catalyst program. Projects should demonstrate alignment with program priorities and state priorities. Again, that's in alignment with Catalyst too. And then there are some projects that request like phase 2 funding under forest economy or timber for transit. Again, I mentioned those feasibility projects we want to come back for implementation work. So just making sure that the projects are really clear in how the phase 2 is distinct from the phase 1 scope of work is really important for us as well. Okay. Questions?
Thanks, Marina. And just as a reminder for you all, application review is optional. As you're aware, the scope of service that you outline in your LDD contracts obviously doesn't include application review. I think we talk about application review and, want to share tips and tricks because we know that a lot of you are helping with projects before they even enter the MBRC pipeline. And so you might, just be already in it with the project. And if there's sort of any added value add that you can bring during the application review, the project will obviously be better for it. So just as a reminder about sort of where the line is, I guess. But yeah, Marina, would love to answer any questions you have related to these 2 programs. If there are projects you know of that you have a clarifying question, if they can fit into one of these programs, feel free to unmute and ask. Marina, you can stop sharing your screen just so we can see people, and then I can take over from there. Sounds like maybe you covered all their questions.
Well, if there's other questions that come up, I can stick my email in the chat. I'll also say that we're always looking for leads for both of these programs. So building kind of the pipeline of projects that we want to invest in and see. So if you ever have questions or come up across a project like bus shelters, feel free to shoot me an email and I can answer questions about those as they come. I'm also meeting with folks that are interested in these programs on a regular basis and working to help prepare them for applications. So feel free to send those folks my way. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Marina. Okay, let's hop into the world of GMS. Everyone's favorite world. Hopefully you all got a chance to download the GMS record funnel, which is a resource I put together for you all that got sent out in the last Constant Contact email. I'm going to pop it up here on the screen. And my thought is we can walk through it. And what I would love from you guys is just to understand, does this flow make sense? Are there things that I've put in this diagram that isn't clear, or, are there things that I could add to make this more user-friendly? I know it is a lot of information, but my hope was really to help organize in your brain kind of how the GMS is ordered specific to the different types of records, because there are lots of different types of records. And I'm sure if you're in there at all, you realize there's just lots of clicking that has to be done to get to a place in the GMS. And so I know as I've been sort of like in the GMS more, having this sort of funnel picture in my head has been really helpful in like navigating through the different records. And so I think I'll just sort of start with the funnel and then talk about the different, the yellow boxes and the purple boxes, and then can open up any questions, or ideally I would love for you guys to tell me like, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, you know, please add this here, you know, that would be really helpful. Or if I just did it perfectly, then great, like would love that too, but happy to make edits. And Sarah, it's not available on the website yet. I really wanted to actually get your guys' feedback first and make any updates to this before putting it out. But once I hear back from you guys, today, if there's any edits, I'll do that and then I'll add it to the website. And then Jared, I just want to check your question quick. Within the GMS system, do application materials automatically populate over to the grant side of the GMS once awarded, or does all that information need to be transferred over manually? I'm going to let Marina answer that. I believe most of it comes over. Are you able to answer, Marina?
Yeah, so application materials stay in the project's application record, but that record stays in the system and is still, we're still able to reference that information when the grant is created. So the grant record is distinct and doesn't necessarily, the application stuff isn't embedded, but a link to the application is, if that makes sense. So that information is still available. The grant record itself is a little more simple and basically just contains the most important information that will go into a grant agreement, as well as the individual award records, where a new award record is kind of created every time an amendment is made, if that makes sense, to keep track of changes to the project.
Great. And I think, Jared, that actually is a good reminder for me. As an LDD, if you are not, if an application does not request your review of the application, and then say they do get awarded funding, you as the LDD are not able to access that application. And so something I've been recommending all along since we've kind of gotten into the GMS system is, you know, if there is a project that you know you will be working with, if they get an award, to really connect with them early, get them to send you a review request of the application, because that will give you access to that record. If you don't get that review request, then you won't have access to it. And the workaround for that is for them to just download it as a PDF so that they can get you all the information that they've put in their application. You can see here on the record funnel how of all these sort of LDD touch points, this does not, the application review doesn't connect to anything because it's kind of, it's separate and own. In order to access that record, you need them to request your review of that record. So thank you for the reminder. Erica, you're asking if the LDD can get access to everything at the beginning instead of waiting. Unfortunately not at this point. I will say, you know, we do understand the challenges that LDDs face in the way the system works, and we are constantly making small changes and updates to make that work better for you all. And you know, ideally, we're going to be working towards more functionality for you all in the future. But at the moment, the grantee really has to request a review, which gives you access to their stuff. And like I said, I'm with the booking times that I mentioned at the beginning. happy to like walk through one-on-one with you all, you and your grantee, if they are having trouble doing that step. Allison, you're asking if the grantee has added us as an LDD, but many of the files we're supposed to access are still inaccessible. Would that be a GMS issue or grantee side issue? Casey, are you on? You are. Do you have any insight to that?
I think it would be, we'd have to look at it on a case-by-case basis,
Okay.
just to determine whether it could be a number of things. And so I'm happy to respond if you send an email to admin@nbrc.gov.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let me just walk through this funnel for you, and happy to answer any questions or receive any feedback on it. Essentially, I've been thinking about our records in the GMS as sort of this like nesting doll situation. So the organizational record is kind of the biggest bucket. And under each record, I've listed sort of generally what you're going to find in each of these records. So in the organizational record, you're going to see, and when I say you're going to see, it depends on if it's the grantee's view or the LDD's view, but this is what lives in those records. So the main contact, address, sam.gov verification, authorized official name, UEI number. And then within the organizational record is that grant record. And that's the number that you should be referencing when you do email us, or grantee emails us, is that GT dash something. That's their grant record. This record's not going to change throughout the life of their project. And so the things that live in that record sort of reflect that, the things that aren't going to change. So that's ideally the budget's not going to change, but the budget table lives there, project description, period of performance. Those pieces of information can be found in the grant record. Within the grant record, you can find all the award records, including the active award. So every time an amendment is requested and approved, it creates a new award record. So if you were looking in the grant record, you would see a list of all of the awards. So say they request 3 amendments that have been approved, there will be a total of 4 award records, and one of those, the most recent one, being the active award. And that includes the award contacts, including the LDD, budget table, payment summaries, KPIs. And that's the record that changes throughout the life of the award as amendments are made. And then lastly, within the award record lives sort of all the nitty gritty nuts and bolts to the awards, the progress reports, the federal financial reports, the reimbursement requests, or I believe they're called payment requests in the GMS, the amendment requests, a lot of the stuff that you all will be helping with. And then on the left-hand side of this is the LDD access touch points. So I've used this key symbol, and for those of you who have met with me one-on-one or with you and the grantee, I talk about how these review requests are essentially the grantee giving you a key to access the records. And so without that key, you're not able to get into that progress report or that payment request or that amendment request. And as long as you have that request is open, the review request is open, you're able to get in there and poke around and edit or add files. And then once the grantee closes or it's called, the button says complete review, then that removes any editing power or access you have to that specific request. and you'll see as an LDD, you can navigate from those review requests into the award record. And then from there, you can navigate up. You can see their grant record and their organizational record or back down. I want to just pause there before I go into the purple and yellow boxes. Are there any thoughts, questions? Does this make it more confusing, less confusing? It helps my brain, so I'm hoping it helps your brain, but happy to make any changes that could be helpful. And feel free to come off mute or put anything in the chat. Okay, I'm going to take that as it all makes sense. Great. Okay, purple boxes on the left-hand side. All of these purple boxes hold the different changes or submissions that are made in each of the records. And you can see each box is connected to a specific record. So for instance, system user access changes can be made at the organizational record level. Closeout requests will be made at the grant record level. Changes and submissions made in the award record are all those, the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts that I talked about, the stuff you all help with. And then within this final bucket, the changes and submissions are, the details of those different reports are made in that specific record. On the right-hand side, in the yellow boxes, I've listed different files or links that can be found in each of the record. So you'll see in the organizational record, under the related log tab, grantees can find links to their active grants and awards, to their submitted progress reports, and to their payments. In the grant record, the types of things, files or links that live there are the LDD contract, the NEPA determination, match commitment, notice to proceed approval, NFI documentation, the application hyperlink. And as you can see, I've noted here that you can only see that as an LDD if you've been asked to review the application, and an award hyperlink. And then within the active award, you can find things like the grant agreement, any files related to the most recent amendment, as well as the application hyperlink. And then last but not least, that bottom part of the funnel, you can find reimbursement tracker, Excel documents, invoices, supporting documentation for the payment requests during that are submitted during a desk review, and any supporting documentation for the amendments. And anything submitted with an amendment will roll up into that active award. So if there is a new budget or a new authorized official change, that documentation will then live in that active award record. I'm going to pause there. That essentially covers the whole graphic. Happy to answer questions. If it's perfect and it needs no edits, I will put it up on the website, but happy to add or change anything if it could be helpful. Great. I think I solved the GMS conundrum with this beautiful picture. One last thing I wanted to mention, as you guys know, as an LDD, unfortunately, you don't just get access to everything, but the red text in the boxes, the purple or the yellow boxes, those are things that you have access to as long as you've been sent a review request, okay? So you're not really able to get into those different documents until you have that key. Remember, the key is the key. It's been a long few days. So anyways, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm happy to answer more questions, but also pass it over to Casey. Casey, do you want me to share the PowerPoint slide that you have?
I think I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I'll
Great.
share that single slide that I've got, as well as some other links that I will go over with folks. Awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here, and thanks for sticking it through nearly to the end with my part here. I'll try and keep it brief for you, especially since Sarah did such an excellent job going over how the sort of system is structured. But I'll add in a few final notes here and then turn it back over. Share my screen. So I just wanted to go over briefly this slide here, which has a link to what I consider to be probably the most helpful resource for you as you are working with applicants. So as Sarah mentioned, them requesting a review in the system for their application from you is totally optional. But if they go through the process of sending you that review and giving you access, even if, you know, the understanding between you and the applicant is that you're not going to be doing a really big substantive review of their application, if they give you that access to request it, to request that review, then they can mark it complete later. They've like given you the key, and down the line, if they're awarded, you'll have access to those materials. And additionally, even if you're not doing a substantive review, them giving you that review request will later on, you'll have an example of a successful proposal to refer back to. If you want to, you're talking with folks about, we've got all of those wonderful lists of the funded projects on our website, but if you want to dig down sort of in a deeper level of, what makes a successful proposal, you will be able to access some of those as they're converted to awards later on. So doesn't hurt to have folks request that review of you, and they can mark it complete at any time and go about their business. So you kind of get to engage with it at whatever level works best for you. I wanted to go over, and I'll just show you where this particular resource is. If you go to the LDD page and then scroll down to the resource library, and then in that resource library, scroll down to the GMS section. This LDD support tab and LDD review guidance is an awesome link. It'll take you to this document. It goes over kind of the two main components of how could be involved in that application process, whether you are just having your name listed on the application, which is helpful for our reporting and for making sure that we can then later give you like good information that you're included on project communications and so forth. And then the actual functional mechanical process of getting direct access to their proposal. So it goes over those pieces in nice detail with screenshots and everything. So definitely a really awesome one to have in your back pocket as folks start reaching out to you about application support. All right, I'll go back here. Just some quick tips here. I wanted to go over, especially because we have some new materials this round and some questions you'll probably end up getting. So one thing you might want to check if you've gotten a review request is to go into, this is a dummy application. So going to the overview tab and then scrolling all the way down to the contact section. That contact section is where you will be able to see who's involved in the project and make sure that your LDD contact info is listed there. So that's kind of just an evergreen bit of advice. The one more specific to this round, because we have sort of a new match rate process, is in the locations tab of the application. There's going to be an application match section, and it will have both this match percent field, which allows folks to enter a percentage for the required match for their project. It will also have this match justification field. This dummy one doesn't have anything filled out, but you can see on this little help text here, we want folks to be entering these sort of numeric digits here in the match justification. There's a link to more information about that over here and some really excellent tools. I highly recommend using this NBRC match estimator, like Excel tool, super helpful for figuring out what codes need to get plugged in here. One thing we saw a lot with our pre-applications this round is folks not knowing that they needed to put these particular little number IDs or putting the number IDs and then a bunch of other text. Really all we're looking for here is just those codes separated by any semicolons, and then a maximum of 10 ideally. So what that does is we kind of decode all of that on the back end later on, and it gives us really excellent project location details, and also helps us to validate that the project location matches up with our updated distress criteria more exactly. So that is my ask of you all as you dig into application reviews, is just have an extra eye on that match justification section, and that the only thing that's being entered in there are those numbered IDs themselves. Otherwise, the application is the same as it has been in previous rounds. So if you're familiar with it, it'll all look pretty much the same there. And then would refer you back to Marina's notes around some of that subject matter to look for in the narrative sections, in the budget sections, and so forth. So I will pause there. And lastly, I'll just a plug for there's going to be a creating and submitting an application guide on our resources page, and that's from the grantee's perspective, it's that step-by-step walkthrough of all the different application pieces, all the buttons to press, and all of that sort of stuff. So I'll stop there, and if anyone has questions, feel free to jump off mute, throw things in the chat.
Thanks, Casey.
Stop sharing. All right. Well, hearing no questions immediately, which I get, I'm bad at questions in the moment. I will turn it back over to Sarah Lang, and thank you all for your time this morning.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Marina's still on, Casey's still on, I'm still on. Happy to answer questions in any of our buckets of expertise, or find you answers at a later date if we don't know the answer. I may be curious to hear from some of the LDDs that I have met with one-on-one, either with just you or you and your grantee, and if you're willing to sort of share how that went and if it was useful or not. I won't be offended if it wasn't. I'm happy to modify how I help walk you guys through things. But if there's anyone that wants to, I don't know, put a plug in for signing up for some time, love to hear that. Erica has a question. Do we know if MBRC funds will be able to be used with rural transformation money that's coming out? Thanks, Andrea. Do not know at this time.
Sarah, I know Heather Devitt of my office. She's my deputy
Yes.
director. She's on vacation this week. Was her conversation with you about timber for transit for the folks down in Sullivan County? Or was she asking about another project?
We mostly just met to kind of walk through the GMS,
Okay,
sort of
so I
like
know,
looking
yeah,
through that funnel.
a couple things, I just know with this particular, that project is probably with others. Just sometimes they found it frustrating just with the inability to edit. There wasn't that little pencil at the end of the line where you can click and then edit something. It was
Yeah.
just a glitch, I think. And I think, I hope that was taken care of. I haven't heard anything since, so that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about that project briefly, specifically. And yeah, I think there was maybe one step that was missing in the process.
that's all.
Yeah. So happy to like follow back up with Heather if
Yeah,
nothing comes of some
Can
of
you just
the
say
things.
the
Yeah.
background, can you just say where you were? Where is that?
Yeah, I was in Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico, wonderful.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Consistent 85 and sunny. So yeah.
Awesome.
Hard to come back to gray New England, but you know, chose to live here and it's beautiful most of the time. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Jared, thanks for signing up. Look forward to talking to you then. All right, well, if there are no other questions, we can feel free to hop or, I'll stay on for another minute or so if you want to talk more one-on-one unless, in a big crowd. And yeah, give you some time back this morning and we'll see you next time, I guess. Thank you all.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.